Hello guys, good afternoon, happy Monday. We are here now live in Global TV Network and I hope you are having a good start of the week. For today, it is going to be a special episode because we will be focusing on people without the need to lose weight. Yes, kasi if you've been part of our group, Life Without Rice group, and at the same time, low-carb feasting and fasting community, you will see na most of our topics are actually related to either weight loss or yung mga pagpa-improve ng health, especially for those na kailangan paliitin yung tiyan. But we know na almost 50%, on average, about 50% of the people in our population actually do not need to lose weight. Hindi lahat kailangan pumayat or hindi lahat makaka-benefit from staying lower BMI or need to lose weight. So, but how about these kinds of people, these individuals who are already on their target weight? Kailangan din ba silang mag-diet? Kailangan din ba silang mag-fasting? So that is what we are going to talk about. Hello, Paul. Thank you so much for watching, being the first one to comment in this episode. I will share this first to our viewers para naman malaman nila that we are live already. Okay? And so we can share this to our other groups. If you are watching, please feel free also to share this in your timeline kasi this can be very beneficial, especially if you've been on low-carb lifestyle, no? If you've been in this way of life for a long time, I'm sure meron kayong natatanggap na mga comments from other people na sinasabi na hindi ito bagay sa kanila, or other people na nagsasabing they don't need to do this way of life kasi they are already sexy, they are already fit, payat naman sila, wala silang sakit. So, yun. But, actually, we will tackle the reasons behind bakit even normal people, even fit people, can really benefit from a way of life that we promote. And this way of life, don't worry, wala tayong hidden agenda dito. This way of life is something that you can do. Kung wala kang pera, you can do it freely because we also incorporate fasting as one of our methods, no, to attain the optimum health. And for those naman who wants to enjoy life more, still get the pleasure of having desserts, of having the goodies na mga gusto nilang enjoy, we have low-carb treats available now nowadays. So, we are inviting everyone to be a part of this episode. This is dedicated to all of us. Fat, thin, fit, and normal people. And normal individuals. But aims to have a healthier lifestyle, okay? Kasi kahit ano pa naman yung weight natin at kung ano pa man yung size natin, all of us, of course, wants to improve our health, no? So, it is very important that we discuss this episode, this program, para once and for all, masasabi natin, if ketogenic diet is para lang ba sa may mga epilepsy, para lang ba ito sa mga may cancer, and yung fasting, sino-sino ba ang pwedeng mag-fasting, and low-carb, bawal bang mag-low-carb ang mga nagbe-breastfeeding mothers? Bawal bang mag-low-carb yung mga bata? Or yung mga athletes, kailangan ba talaga nila ng sugar? Kailangan ba talaga nila mag-carbo load? So those are the things that we have to consider. So I will share this with the rest of our groups para malaman nila once and for all na we are live already. Who aims to improve their health, their current condition. Hello. So, thank you so much for watching. Yan, na-post na natin. And also, we will share this with our other groups, no? Yung groups kasi natin nasa Life Without Rice and Low-Carb Feasting and Fasting Community. For those of you na first time pang manood ng episode na to, we have two groups actually. The first one is Life Without Rice. Yung Life Without Rice, as you can understand, no? Rice, yung buhay ng walang rice. Bakit walang rice? we are saying life without rice, but actually what we mean is a life without or with less carbohydrate intakes. Purely sugar intake, no? For those na iba, hindi pa rin masyadong memorize. Akala nila iba yung sugar sa carbohydrates. So, sugar po is just the layman's term of the basic unit of carbohydrates, okay? Yung carbohydrates, kapag na-breakdown na siya sa katawan natin, this will become glucose. At yung glucose, yun yung primary source na ginagamit na fuel ng katawan natin. And yes, yung end stage ng ating fuel sa katawan is actually not glucose, but ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That is a energy form, no? That is the energy form. Para siyang yung currency ng energy sa katawan natin. And hindi lang siya sa glucose lang umaandar. So, if you can remember, if you can think about it, no? Glucose, kung sa pera, it could be dollars. Okay? Yung glucose, para siyang dollars. Marami siya, very widespread, alam ng lahat, and then it is something that is acceptable by many. But actually, hindi lang siya ang only currency na pwedeng tanggapin ng katawan natin. It can also function on ketones, okay? So, ketones is like, like euro or pounds, na actually, mas malaki yung conversion niya to its real value as compared to glucose, okay? So, I would like to repeat that glucose could be peso or could be, for us Filipinos, it could mean peso. But ketones is actually more valuable, no? It has more value than glucose. So, yung ketones, mas malaki siya. So, for example, ano bang mga pinakamalaki? We have dollars, different kinds of Australian dollars, Canadian dollars, American dollars, Singaporean dollars. We also have pounds, we also have euros. So these are different types of currency. And our body actually can function on different kinds of energy currency. Kaya lang, yung alam lang natin, yung it made popular lang sa atin is the glucose. Kaya yun lang yung parati nating inaasahan. But biochemistry if you will go back actually to your college or chemistry, high school or senior high mo na studies in science, you will actually appreciate na sinasabi doon, glucose is just a quick source of energy, meaning panandalian, because it is not supposed to be a long-term source of energy. Bakit hindi pwedeng long-term source of energy ang glucose? Because with glucose comes insulin. Kapag tumataas yung glucose sa katawan mo, tumataas din yung insulin sa katawan mo. And ano ang nangyayari kapag mataas ang insulin sa katawan? Yung number one na alam natin is pinapababa niya yung sugar sa loob ng blood vessels natin. Okay? Pinapababa niya. Yun lang alam natin. But actually, yung purpose na yan, yung function na yan ng insulin is just one of the very vast properties of insulin. Yan ay one of the parang immediate effect niya. But it has long-term effect na mas grabe yung implication. And it's grabe na implication is designed because we are not supposed to have elevated insulin all year round. Okay? I would like to repeat that. Insulin is not something that our body is designed to have all year round. Kasi by nature, by our evolution, the way we evolved as humans for the last 2 million years or more, even way before pa tayo na-develop into modern humans, our body, our DNA, developed, eventually adapted sa buhay na minsan lang nakakatikim ng mga pagkaing may mga matatamis, mga pagkaing nakakapagpataas ng sugar, and at the same time, mga pagkain nakakapagpataas ng insulin. Insulin, in other words, is a fat-storing hormone. It is designed for you to store food, to store fats in preparation sa longer times na walang pagkain. So, if you remember, noong unang panahon, like say for example, if winter or seasons in a year, no? Minsan lang may harvest season. Without agriculture, without fertilizers, without GMOs, genetically modified foods, no? GMFs, no? Genetically modified foods and genetically modified organism, by nature, minsan or 2 beses lang sa isang taon, normally, naturally, bubunga yung mga fruit-bearing trees. And these fruits, yung mga prutas na ito, are the fruits that are our natural desserts. It's nature's desserts. Ika nga ni Sir Alan Cura. Si Sir Alan Cura, mabuting kaibigan natin yan. And one of our very avid supporters in our advocacy of promoting low carbohydrate lifestyle and fasting in our community, in our growing community. So, kapag kumakain tayo, kahit rice lang yan, kahit tinapay lang yan, but kumakain ka 3 times a day, for the last 365 days, for the last years and decades of your life, actually, yung signal na binibigay mo sa katawan mo is that it's been harvest season all year round. Your body has been prepared to fast. Your body has been preparing, storing foods in preparation for an expected, no, famine, unexpected summer, rainy season, or kung sa cold countries, expected winter season, wherein walang pagkaing mahahanap elsewhere. Yung paghahunting, being mga ngaso, being our ancestors, no, descendants of our hunters and gatherers ancestors, na nakakakain minsan lang sa isang araw. So that's actually OMAD, or 1 meal a day. Sanay tayo sa ganyan. But we were brought up in a modern community wherein food intake has been normalized to be eaten more than 3 times a day. At meron pang promotion or popularity na nagpo-promote ng small frequent meals. So small frequent meals, that is eating little meals every 2 or 3 hours during your whole waking hours. So when you are awake, kapag gising ka, halos kada 2 oras, 3 oras, kumakain ka lang. So actually, that is something that is not natural. Speaking of evolutionary perspective, speaking in our biochemistry perspective. So our topic right now is how important for us to have low carbohydrate lifestyle and even incorporating fasting lifestyle kahit sa mga taong payat, kahit sa mga taong athletics, kahit sa mga taong naging goal weight na. Kasi maraming nag-lose weight, but we know na hindi lang weight yung optimum sign of health, okay? Alam natin, marami dyan. We have a lot of readers of the book na bumili sila. First is the second book. That is The Perfect at Last Health. Eat to Heal. Yun yung second book natin because it will teach you, it will help you understand and help you start a life without the carbohydrates that are products of modern day science, modern day agricultural revolution. So before we proceed, I would like to say hi to Elise Rose. She is in China right now. Thank you so much. And of course, Ma'am Amabel Colina Jaime. Thank you, Doc, watching from Cebu. Hello po, Ma'am. Thank you for watching. And hi to your daughter. I know you are doing ADF, alternate day fasting, for the month of December. Nauna lang kami ng konti. We started ADF last November. And for this December, we designed our calendar wherein makakakain kami during the holidays, and at the same time, we scheduled our fast during it's up to you. For me, I usually schedule my fast on a Monday and Tuesday because that's where I get really, really busy and madali ko makalimutan ang lahat. And I can focus, I can be productive, I can be very much more focused and more energetic when I'm fasting. So, Romjay Benaventura, hi Doc from San Pedro, Laguna. Hello, Sir Romjay. I hope your mom is already okay, and I hope you get to read the books na po. And also, Chloe, my dear, Charissa, she's live in FB. Yes, I'm live na. Medyo na-late lang ako kasi I took a nap pa. Klaro bang kakagising ko lang? Mel Garcia, hi Doc, watching from Imos, Cavite. Thank you so much for watching, guys. So, to start, this topic is actually triggered by one of the sisters of our followers. Now, I would like to say hi to you. Alam mo kung sino ka. Kung ayaw mong mention, no need. But if you'd like to gusto mong ma-shout out, sabihin mo lang in the comment section and I will say hi to you. But if not, You know who you are. They are also here from Negros, from Bacolod. I think I'll get to meet them in our booth this coming Wednesday. So yung question niya, kasi payat siya. The other one, the first who followed us, is the one that's doing fasting and low carb lifestyle and even ketogenic diet because she wants to lose weight. But yung sister niya is somewhat thin. Di ba ganon naman talaga sa magkakapatid, sa pamilya? Hindi lahat mataba, hindi lahat payat. Meron talagang mag-iiba. Hello, Gina Redalosa Tan. Tita, thank you so much for watching. You know, mahal na mahal ko pong anak niyo. My good friend, Kantan. And Cherise, yes, question answered. Anong question answered? Ano ang pinag-uusapan yung dalawa dyan, ha? So, this is actually triggered by her. Kasi sabi niya, she's been observing her sister na nagkikito. And she is seeing the results. She knows na having a keto diet is important for her sister. And her sister also knows, no, na doing low carb and also incorporating fasting can help her. However, hindi niya ma-explain how up to the details. And she told me na payat siya, but meron siya, diagnosed siya with fatty liver, and meron siyang breast mass. And another friend of mine also, who is also a doctor, Dr. Gail, she's been practicing low carb actually to her patient longer than I did, for more than 3 years na. But she's just low-key, hindi siya nag-go in public. But don't worry, I'll do my best to invite her para so you can meet her as well. She's a very, very wonderful doctor and very, very passionate woman also practicing here in Negros. And I'm sure you would love her really. Kasi sobrang genuine and sobrang, you know, alam na alam niya yung science behind it. And like me, I also initially started with a question, why certain management doesn't work, no? So why the standard knowledge of eating low-fat diet is not working? Bakit may mga family tayo who's been religious in taking care of in taking their medicines, and yet they succumb to death? Ginawa nilang lahat, yet ganun pa din. Ganon pa din yung nangyari. So, behind us is Dr. Andy Manggubat. He is also an ENT doctor. So, housemate namin yan. Marami kami sa bahay. Hello. So, hello. Malapit ka. So, this is, I call him Dottore Manggubat. So, Dottore, because inside, he is actually Italian doctor. So, this is Doc Andy. He is also an ENT surgeon. Sabay kami. So, hi to all. Hi daw. Sige, i-guess natin siya next time. Sige. Okay. Good evening. Yes, lahira na I sleep. Yes, nakatulog na ako. Elena Paredes. Tita. Yes, advance Merry Christmas, Lori Recto Barlita. And of course, nandito pa yung isang in-house anesthesiologist natin, my good friend, Doc Jonah Maytaha. So, she's an anesthesiologist. So, nandito, di ba? Ang papayat ng mga tao dito. Ang sexy. Sige, sabihin mo, how much did you weigh when you came here in Bacolod 3 years ago?
I'm 66 kilograms.
66 kilograms
Yes.
nung dumating ka dito? Because she's from Cebu, Ma'am Amabel. Dr. Rataha is from Cebu. Actually, babalik na daw siya next month. We will miss her.
Yeah.
But Cebu will really, it's gonna be a pleasure for Cebu to have her. And ano na yung weight mo ngayon?
49 kilograms.
49 na lang, so that is 17 kilos left.
Yes.
17 kilos. And you just actually, parang bumalik ka lang sa
Usual.
college mo, no? College and early med school
That's good.
days, no?
Yes.
So, gano'n. Tingnan mo naman. Super sexy.
Hello.
About to go on duty na. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Mag-duty na siya. Okay, so, sino yung si Sir Norwin na naman, no? Ano na naman mga pinagsasabi dyan? Watching from Baguagadian. And yes, sino pa ba ang Okay, yan na yung mga kasama natin dito sa bahay. Kung sino pa mamaya, marami kami dito. We have a very large apartment. At marami kami kasi it's near our hospital. So para madali lang, kasi maraming emergencies, itatakbo lang. 3 minutes na brisk walking, nasa operating room na ako. Kapag super emergency talaga, 1 minute kaya kong takbuhin yan. So yes, bakit nagkakaroon ng tumors at fatty liver yung mga payat? Bungis-ngis, bungis-ngis na kung bungis-ngis. Sige, bakit nagkakanon? So, I explained it this way, no? Kasi, not yung sinasabi natin during the start of the video, the effect of insulin. Kasi yung effect ng insulin, hindi lang sa pagkuha ng sugar sa ating bloodstream. And it will have other effects. But it will be individual differences kung ano yung magiging pronounced na insulin effect. So before I proceed, I need to greet this because this is my senior resident before, Nothing Moons, Dr. Ramundo. So she is my senior when I entered ENT. She is my senior resident. Siya yung chief namin and siya yung one of our chiefs na and currently practicing in Cagayan de Oro. So for those who have ENT concerns na nasa Cagayan, Dr. Ramundo can help you, no? Siya yung marami siyang tinuro sa aking operation, no? So she's one of my mentors. Thank you so much, Doc, for watching. So yes, going back, insulin. So yung insulin, yung pinaka-famous na function niya is just about removing the sugar from the bloodstream para hindi ka mag-hyperglycemia, para hindi tumaas yung sugar sa iyong bloodstream, no? Yung mini-measure, remember the one that we measure is the sugar that's just inside our blood. Nasa dugo lang natin. But the sugar, the excess sugar na kinakain natin over time cannot be measured in the bloodstream alone. Kasi nga, yung insulin, kinukuha niya yan agad. So, where do you think insulin put that? Saan nilalagay ni insulin ang mga extra sugar? At anong nangyayari sa kanila? If you are a weightlifter, if you are an avid gym goer, if grabe ka mag-exercise or yung trabaho mo is sobra yung physical activity, those glucose, those sugar can be converted into energy. That's no question, okay? But if you are like me, na hindi masyadong gumagalaw, and kung meron mang gumagalaw sa akin, ay yung mga kamay ko lang. Like yung kamay ko lang talaga. I'm a surgeon, I'm fond of drawing, I'm fond of mga gumawa ng mga kung ano-anong bagay just with my hands. I always say, the only developed parts of my muscle groups are just in my digits. Sa mga kamay ko lang talaga. So, sa ngayon I don't know anyone na mas merong strength sa kamay ko kaysa sa akin. Even my brother, we did a parang yung parang strength na sa kamay lang, natalo ko siya, but just using the digits. Yes, no exercise, and it's not just because we are lazy, but we actually have so many other things to do. So, like for example, other things na not really on physical activity lang. So how about those people? Saan napupunta yung sugar nila? It can be continued or consumed by your brain. Kasi a large part of our living, a large part of our energy intake is actually given to our brain, no? Kaya there are other doctors, no, nutritional doctors na sobrang ayaw sa ketogenic diet, sobrang ayaw sa fasting kasi daw obligate glucose user yung brain natin. Yes, that is true, but based on studies, our brain may be an obligate glucose but not 100% of glucose. In studies, after 4 days of fasting, your glucose can be provided with ketones as a source of energy up to 70% of the time. 70% of the time, so that is already the maximum. At least, at minimum, yung brain natin will function on glucose at 30%. And that 30%, huwag kayong matakot because hindi nyo kailangan magbaon ng pagkain, ng rice, ng biskwit, ng candy, ng chocolate bars. Hindi nyo kailangan magbaon na gagawin nyo ang excuse yung brain function nyo. Okay? Kung magbabaon man kayo ng isang chocolate dyan, ng isang chocolate bar dyan, hindi yan para sa brain nyo, kundi para lang yan sa puso nyo, para sa kaligayahan nyo. It's for your own personal enjoyment. But you do not make your brain as an excuse because your brain can function under ketones and your brain can function with only about 30% of the normal glucose intake kasi bibigyan siya ng glucose ng iyong liver through the process of gluconeogenesis. Yes, gluconeogenesis is ang paggawa ng glucose, paggawa ng bagong glucose galing scratch. Hindi siya galing sa pagkain mo na directly mong kinain, but galing siya sa mga nutrients na nasa katawan mo na. Sources of mga ingredients na ginagawa ng iyong liver para makagawa siya ng glucose will include the amino acids or the extra proteins na kinakain mo. Others will also be from the triglycerides, no? Triglycerides or triacylglycerol. Okay? So that is the fat and glucose component na nasa bloodstream natin. When you are fasting, when you are on ketogenic diet, doon kukuha, i-break down ng katawan mo si triacylglycerol, no? Triacylglycerol or triglycerides will be broken down into three glycerol and another fat component. Okay? So, fat components and glycerol. The glycerol will be converted into glucose and the acyl or the fat component will be converted into ketones. So, both of them will be used as energy. Kaya siya nagkakaganon. So, ang other purpose ng insulin is fat storage. But, hindi lahat capable of storing fats. Kaya, meron tayong mga tao, at least one of us, meron kahit isang tao at minimum na kilala na sobrang kumain ng kanin, sobrang kumain ng carbs, sobrang kumain ng tinapay, ng noodles, ng pasta, but hindi pumapayat. Walang nangyayari. And because they are not fat formers. Okay? Hindi nagpo-form ng fats yung katawan nila. Meron talagang ganong genetics. It has something to do with the enzymes. Kasi merong ibang enzymes na parang deficient or hindi pronounced sa other people. Like for those of us na madaling tumaba the moment they eat a little carbohydrates, the more sweets, tumataba, it's because heightened yung enzyme or yung pathway na gumagawa ng taba. It is already a known science that fat storage is induced by insulin. But, akala natin, swerte sila. Pero, yun yung always kong sinasabi. Actually, they are not the lucky ones. The lucky ones are those na madaling tumaba with intake of more carbohydrates. Kasi, us na madaling tumaba will have an obvious indicator. Madaling malaman when you are already eating too much. Madali mong malaman if you're already going overboard your usual limit na kaya ng katawan mo. But for those, yes, Flo, tama yan, yung tofu, yung thin outside, fat inside, hindi mo malalaman what's going on inside na meron na palang damage, meron na palang fat build up in places na hindi nakikita obviously ng mata. The fats that are stored in the visceral organs, no? Or internal organs. Ito yung mga taba na hindi nakikita ng damit. So, yung size ng damit mo, extra small or size 0, yung figure mo, sobrang liit, less than 24 hours yung waistline, and yet, comes annual physical checkup. Nakita mo, fatty liver. Or, for women, nagkakaroon ng annual breast exam, nakita may mga lumps sa breast. No? And for those, meron din nakikitang merong gallstones, merong cholecystitis or yung infection or inflammation ng gallbladder. And all of them, whenever they go to a traditional doctor, like the many doctors nowadays, like maybe 95% of doctors, at least from what I know, 95 to 98% of doctors will tell them avoid eating fats, avoid eating salt because they are junk foods, and all you have to do is do some diet. But ano yung diet na yon? Sabi nga ni Doc Gail, the one I told you about, no, we met last weekend, no, yung by idea daw na kapag nagda-diet, yung usual na ni-remove, no, the moment na yung typical na mga nalalaman natin about diet, they will remove the fats, the meat, the nutrient-dense foods, yung mga chicken, yung fish. Actually, kinukuha nila yung mga ulam. At kapag nagda-diet sila, kumakain sila ng biskwit na lang, bread na lang, yung kanin nila, konti na, yun na lang yung kinakain na, konti na lang, sabaw na lang, at hindi na nila kinakain yung mga ulam. And that one was actually tested na by our friend, no? Because tinry niya yon to one of her loved ones, and for the longest time, kasi athlete, nagmamarathon, tumatakbo, nagja-jogging, parating nagra-run, and yet nakita nila sa kanila magkakapatid, merong mataba, merong hindi mataba. Yung mga matataba is normal yung blood values, walang problema sa liver, walang problema sa lipid profile. But here comes yung physically fit, muscular, runner, pag nagpa-laboratory, nakita may fatty liver. Bakit ganon? So, this is a classic example of what I'm telling you na even among siblings, kahit sa magkakapatid, iba yung effect ng insulin. So, the other group, yung effect ng insulin sa kanila, nakikita na yung mga extra food that they eat, it was converted into fats. But to the other group, the extra food that they eat was not converted to fats kasi hindi sila fat former. At saka may constant muscle build up sila. But you know they are eating extra. They are eating more than what they need, and the laboratories don't lie. And in addition to that, they don't feel well. Alam nila that something is wrong, but they cannot pinpoint. Especially sabi nila na I'm very fit. I'm doing physical activity. Grabe ako mag-exercise. What else did I do? Yung kinakain ko, eto lang naman. And the moment they tell you anong kinakain nila, yung sinasabi nila is just the palibot lang. Like for example, yung kinakain ko, parating vegetables lang at kumakain ako ng prutas. But what they are telling you is ano ang kasama ng vegetables. And usually, ano yung kasama ng vegetables? Kanin. It's very common that we don't actually, whenever you're being asked kung anong kinakain mo, for those low carbers and already into this way of life, of course, exemption na yan. But try to remember before, no? Before you started this way of life. Kapag sinasabi, anong kinain mo kanina? Hindi ka naman magsasabing kanin, di ba? So yung sasabihin mo, ano lang, adobo. Ano lang, itlog. But, or for example, chicken. Pero, hindi mo na sinasabi na ang kasabay nun either bread, rice, or mashed potato because these are the side dishes na hindi mo na kinakount. These are what we consider as innocent, as akala natin very safe, at akala natin walang problema. But actually, these are the culprit. Hindi mo kailangan i-blame ang lechon. Hindi mo kailangan i-blame ang fried chicken. Hindi mo kailangan i-blame ang itlog. Itlog is one of the most nutrient-dense foods, no? So, hindi siya kailangan ganyan. So, these people na hindi fat formers, yung tendency ng insulin is acting on the visceral organs. And one of the most metabolically vulnerable organ is the liver. You know? Our liver is one of our primary metabolic organ. And what it induces in our liver is to produce fats, no? Supposedly, kapag nagpo-produce ng fats yung liver, pinapasa yan sa bloodstream natin. And kapag nasa bloodstream na siya natin, supposedly, yun yung gagamitin nating energy. It's normal. Actually, normal course siya na gagamitin siya as energy. But that energy utility, yung paggamit ng energy na yon galing sa taba, will be stopped by insulin. Okay? The moment na mataas ang insulin sa katawan mo, you'll never go into fat burning mode. You will always be on fat saving mode, fat storing mode. Yung fats as something that is very precious. Kasi nga, yung fats na yon, akala ng katawan natin, we are on harvest season, at kailangan natin mag-save mag-save ng kung ano-anong energy in the form of fats in preparation for fasting season. Okay? But since hindi nangyayari yon, yung what's happening now is that fats, all of those fats are building up. So, marami tayong kilala na TOFI. Thin outside, fat inside. Hindi yung fats na galing sa liver, na ginagawa ng liver because of too much insulin, nasa dugo lang nila. And that will show as elevated total cholesterol. Don't worry for those low carbers na ngayon ay natatakot kasi mataas yung total cholesterol nila. That is not the only thing that you have to consider. You have to get the full cholesterol panel or lipid panel kasi maraming components yan. Maybe your cholesterol is elevated because you have elevated HDL, high density lipoprotein. That is a good cholesterol. LDL was before considered as a bad cholesterol, but actually LDL is a neutral cholesterol. Hindi siya bad, as it's only bad if hindi mo siya ginagamit. But if you are having elevated LDL, but you have low blood sugar, especially yung HbA1c mo is mababa. HbA1c is the laboratory value that is averaging, sinasummarize niya, and kinukuha niya yung average for the last 3 months na blood glucose level mo. Kapag mababa din yon, then you are okay. Because it means that for the last 3 months, your body has been dependent on those LDL as a source of energy and not from glucose. But yung isang component dyan na kailangan mong i-watch out at kailangan pababain is the triglycerides, because these triglycerides is what have been shown to correlate to cardiac diseases, cardiac outcome. Kasi these triglycerides are the ones na easily converted into energy. Sila yung primary source of energy ng puso natin. Even our muscles can feed on ketones. Pwede nilang ma-convert yung ketones into ATP. Yun yung sabi natin, yung final na currency ng ating energy spending is through ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And it can come from either glucose or ketones. And what we promote as much as possible is fueling on ketones, at least most of the time, and only seldom on glucose. Okay? Yun. So those people, those who are not fat formers, will eventually have the lipids stuck up, being only stagnant in their bloodstream. Kaya meron tayong mga kilalang very thin. We know even a close doctor, friend of ours ni Doc Nuts, no? Kilala natin. We have that na sobrang taas ng blood cholesterol niya kahit sobrang payat. So whenever and she knows, no, that kapag maglo-low carb lang siya, bababa. Kaya lang nahihirapan pa siya with the transition. And other people, even other doctors, actually, sasabihin din siya, bakit ka nagda-diet na sobrang payat mo na? And we can see na alam na natin na hindi lang yung weight, hindi lang yung kapayatan yung indicator of health. Actually, yung mga matataba, meaning they are lucky because they can accommodate the effect of insulin na hindi ganon ka-drastic yung effect. Kasi it's good that we have an indicator, and it's a good signal that we need to improve our eating, our lifestyle. But we are lucky kasi binibigyan pa tayo ng chance that we can still improve it. Kasi wala pa siyang end result. Wala pa siyang tawag natin clinical significance. The moment that you already have hypertension, elevated blood sugar, elevated blood cholesterol, elevated blood pressure, those are already clinical significance na you really have to start if you want to improve. And yung effect ng fat storage na yon, ng fat build-up, is actually not just on fat build-up. Pati sa gallstone natin, yung gallbladder natin is where we store our bile, no? Bile acids are needed kapag kumakain ka ng taba, and those bile will be secreted. Siya din yung nagpapakulay ng poops natin, no? Sorry for those who are eating. Siya yung nagpapakulay because our fats, the fats that we take in, hindi siya basta-basta na-absorb sa tiyan natin. It needs to be paired up by a bile acid para ma-absorb siya ng system natin and ma-process siya as food ng ating katawan. And those na malakas kumain ng carbohydrates, malakas kumain ng sugar, those bile can just build up. At nagkakaroon siya ng tinatawag nating bile sludge, no? Not all gallbladder stones ay diretso stones. Sometimes it started with a sludge, meaning super thick lang, no? Sobrang malapot. And what will your surgeon will tell you, your traditional surgeon will tell you, your traditional gastroenterologist will tell you, you have to limit fat intake. Yun yung sasabihin nila. But they failed to remember. They forget. And I cannot blame them. Kasi before I learned about this, yun din yung mindset ko. Of course, you have a lot of fats in your system. You just limit your fat intake. Yun lang. But I was never so wrong, no? Sobrang mali ako noon. And I realized that. And I realized that, and I went back to my biochemistry book, and biochemistry book are not biased. Nandun lahat. And sinasabi nito that we are functioning not just on calories, no? Not just on the food, but we are functioning, we adapt to the hormones that we produce. And these foods, whenever we take in, kapag kumakain na tayo ng taba, for example, will not make you fat eventually because eating fats will not increase the fat storing hormone. But eating carbohydrates, eating sugar, eating sweets is the one that will spike up insulin. And that insulin is the fat storing hormone. Yun yung makakapag-initiate ng signal. Parang i-override niya ang lahat and siya yung magiging dominant. Kasi nga, it's like in preparation, by evolution, it is supposedly to prepare us for the famine time, for times of fasting, for times of winter. So, yun yung importante. And this insulin is not, its effect is not just on fats. Kasi kapag marami ka ng taba, this adipose tissue, adipose is the scientific medical term for the fat cells, no? It's adipose tissue or adipose cells, no? These adipose tissue, kapag sobra na sila, they actually produce estrogen. And estrogen is okay at normal level. Kaya nga merong normal menstrual cycle yung mga babae because estrogens should be regulated. But kapag marami ka ng estrogen sa katawan mo, the other organs that are vulnerable to estrogen's effect will also have its impact. Kaya sa mga babae, marami diyang mga maliliit na mga babae, sobrang payat, sobrang thin, sobrang halos stick na lang. But kapag nagpa-annual physical exam, merong myoma, merong cyst sa ovaries, or merong breast mass, or merong cyst sa breast. Yung iba benign, good, mostly benign. Yung iba, even cancer. And these organ systems, these masses, are all estrogen sensitive. Your reproductive system, yung ovaries, yung uterus, no? Yung breast natin, these are estrogen sensitive. And too much elevation of estrogen, it can induce tumorigenesis, no? So that's why fats and insulin in general is actually inducing tumorigenesis. That's why merong mga maliliit na mga payat na mga tao, na mga babae. I know at least 2 that I can recall right now, no? I can only remember 2 kasi sila yung pinaka nag-reach out sa akin and the ones that are closest to me na sobrang maliliit. Akala mo sobrang malnourished na, but you didn't know, no? If hindi sila nag-reach out sa akin, if hindi ko friend yung husband niya, hindi ko malalaman that she was actually about to undergo major surgery for removal of her uterus para lang mawala na yung myoma na na-form. And she is very thin. You'll never expect na meron siyang mga tumutubong tumor sa kanya. And this is not exclusive in females. May mga lalaki din na maraming effect. But yung mga lalaki, mas less yung effect sa kanila because their muscle mass, no, their muscle bulk is actually increasing their metabolism. That's why yung effect ng insulin sa kanila is not that much as compared to female. But be careful also kasi yung effect sa kanila is more on the liver and more on the visceral fat sa kanilang katawan. Kaya yung mga lalaki, mas important na hindi mag-memorize ng timbang. Hindi importante yung overall weight. Kasi yung overall weight nyo, for all you know, baka galing siya sa muscles nyo. And it's okay. What you have to watch out for is your waistline. Is your circumference, no? Yung pusod, okay? Umbilical waistline. Para consistent. Hindi pwedeng kung saan mo lang feel na i-measure yung waistline mo, ha? Okay? Dapat sa pusod tayo, navel area, sa umbilical area, para consistent, i-measure mo yan. Dapat yung waistline mo is not more than half ng iyong height. Okay? So, you measure your height in feet, no? So, for example, if you are 5 foot flat, no? So, 5 foot, so that is 60 inches. So, dapat yung waistline mo at most, no, yung pinakamalaki na yan, yung 30. Okay? So, you have to lower it down. So, the shorter you are, the smaller your waistline should be. The taller you are, the more you have an allowance for a bigger waistline. But that is not something that you have to boost, no? It's something that you have to be thankful for. But you still have to fight and do something to improve it. So, I think we got that covered. For now, we will try to answer questions muna. So, we will start with Annabelle. Okay lang, Annabelle. Nakahabol pa. So, Lafoib Carpio. Hi, Doc. Low-carb enthusiast na po ako for 27 months. Recently, I had an ultrasound na may nakita pong small stone sa kidney. Possible po ba na lumaki dahil sa low-carb palagi? May salt. Kidney stones is actually not directly related to low carb. But when you are into low carb for so long, you have to check for your potassium intake. Okay? You have to check for your potassium intake. Sometimes, if you've been in low carb for so long, nami-miss mo yung potassium. So, sometimes you have to supplement. Salt is not to blame. Okay? You don't have to blame salt. But, you have to make sure na balance ang electrolyte na components mo. And you don't need to take potassium all the time, okay? We will discuss that in another episode. But staying low carb, especially keto diet, sometimes supplementing with potassium can help. And if I may ask, meron ka bang previous kidney ureter bladder ultrasound before you started low carb? And also, the same way, for those of you na merong mga like cholelithiasis, cholecystitis, or gallbladder problems na na-discover during or after a low-carb lifestyle, do you have a baseline before starting? Kasi, maraming ganyan na biniblame sa low-carb. But for all we know, baka meron na yan beforehand. Hindi nyo nga alam, baka lumiit na yan. So, don't jump into conclusions. So, yes, sabi mo wala pa first time. So, who knows? Baka nga lumiit na yan. Kasi at least for our other friends, no, for those who are close to us, alam natin na mga baseline silang cyst and fatty liver, and after 2 months of strict low carbs and 27 months na, it even improved. So right now, you can just actually try to monitor that, okay? Try to supplement well, hydrate well, okay? Kasi this stone formation is still directly related to your food intake. Primarily, sorry to say this, mostly related to plant-based or those others with a lot of nitrites. So if you're a meat eater, yung mga meats na processed, no, na maraming ginagamit na mga commercial preservatives. And for those of you who are fond of eating vegetables, especially yung mga mapapait, they can actually have high oxalates, no? Yung pinaka-common would be cabbage, certain legumes, yung mga peanuts, no? Kasi yung peanuts allowed in low carb but on limited quantity. But they can be very inflammatory and they have high oxalate contents. Root crops, hindi naman natin kinakain yan sa low carb, but they have high oxalate contents. And our good friend, Dr. Iggy Agbayani, is an orthopedic surgeon. Nakita niya yung mga joints na halos putulin na ng mga paa because of arthritis. It's full of oxalate crystals. And the ones in your kidney, it can be any kind of stones. Merong calcium stones, merong oxalate, merong urate. It can be of many forms, no? So, actually, I advise, no, kung sa mga ganyan, make sure, aside from low carb, I don't advise low carb alone, no? If kaya, low carb plus fasting. No matter how short the fasting is, eventually, tataas din yan. But it shouldn't be alone, no? Kasi doing this alone will still have its side effects. Still, of course, no, better than not doing either of the low carb or IF, no, or fasting. But doing both will have the maximum benefit. So, Doc, I know a few. Yes. So, how to stop sweet cravings. So, in book 2 of our series, no, so we have 3 books. So, in book 2, meron tayong nilagay dyan, how to have a sweet fix without the added sugar. So, sweet fix, no? Kasi meron tayong from time to time, meron tayong cravings talaga sa sweets. And it's because of previous sweet intake. You will never crave for something you didn't have. Yun yung kailangan yung malaman. You will never crave for something na hindi mo pa kinakain. And what you continue to eat is something that what you will continue to crave. Kasi hahanap-hanapin mo siya. But if you stop eating those, you will you will miss them for quite some time. But if you focus on the benefits being not missing them, being functional without them, and being healthier without them is actually a good thing. Next, if hindi talaga mawala yung sugar cravings, you try the salt fix. Always natin sinasabi yan. The salt fix is already a book, no? Book siya na published 1980s. Sobrang tagal na siya. And they just released it. I think yung anak na ng author, pinablish nila ulit, the salt fix, because it is related to what I posted this morning na in human biochemistry, salt is essential, sugar is not. And most of our cravings is actually needing either just salt or water. Yun lang talaga. But our mind is confused. Nako-confuse siya. And whenever it needs something, yung pinupush na idea ng isip natin, ano nga yung pinaka-last na pinaka-masarap kong kinain? Yung nagbigay ng pleasure sa akin? And you know what's the answer? It's always the sugar. So, it's the memory of sugar that will supplement the need for salt or water. So dapat wag tayong magpapaloko. Whenever we have sweet cravings, try muna uminom ng tubig. Give it 5 minutes. Kapag hindi pa rin nawala, try some salt. Get a pinch of salt. Like for me, kumukuha ko ng granules ng pink Himalayan salt kasi malalaki siya. So, I don't need to suffer for the salty water kasi hindi ko masyadong gusto yon. Pero for others na gustong uminom ng salt water, then well and good. Take that salty. Kung hindi ka man gusto yan, kumain ka ng, for example, dried fish, no? Bulad in Bisaya, uga in Ilonggo, no? So, those dried fish, kain kang konti, give it 5 minutes, you will see the cravings go away. And if it won't go away, try to think, nakatulog ka ba ng mabuti? Nakapagpahinga ka ba ng mabuti? Or are you stressed? Or are you having other problems? Because sometimes, those cravings came out of other needs, which is rest. Like, yun yung pinaka-common for me. Kasi kapag kulang ako ng tulog, I know, and it's supported by studies, that women, when they lack sleep, they tend to not get satisfied with food and to have their cravings in full blast, especially the sweet ones. Parang nagiging super vulnerable ka sa sweets, no? When you have deficient sleep, no? So, our body is actually needing sleep. It's a must. Hindi yan negotiable. Kailangan mo talagang matulog. So, before you give into sweets, try to think first if you've had enough rest. Kasi, if you didn't have enough rest, you try to sleep first. You know? I hope EJ is watching. Yeah, I think she's nabiya sa akin, no? Kasi halos lahat ng video ko napanood na niya. Sabi niya, pina-follow niya na daw, na to choose sleep over eating. Because that's what I've been doing, especially during med school, when I was an intern. We only have 2 hours of break in a 36-hour duty. We do 36 to 40 hours of duty every other day. At meron lang kaming 2 hours na fully free kami. Yung sabi namin untouchable kami. Pwede namin gawin na kahit anong gustong gawin namin. So others, sometimes I do that to do my personal affairs. Like punta ako ng dentist or kailangan kong mag-grocery or something. But most of the time, I use that 2 hours before for sleeping. I always convert my lunch break to sleeping break. So, that has been helping me. So, that's why, even if may mga time na lumalaki ako, never talaga akong lumaki na super malaki. Kasi, I always choose sleep over food. And, kapag hindi pa rin nawala yung cravings, like, for example, you are really feeling bad, at alam mo, na-recognize mo that you're just feeling sad or bored, and you just need some pick me up, some pampahappy lang. So, it's okay. At least, importante, alam mo na that is the reason why you're having sweet cravings. And for the sweets naman, we have hierarchy. Should you eat sweets? Pwede kang kumain ng small portion of fruit. Very small portion na para pasok pa din sa ating carbohydrate allowance or net carbs intake allowance of 20 to 50 grams per day. for those who need to lose weight, better to consume the carbohydrates, mayroong lower limit, 20 grams net carbs or less. For those naman on maintenance na, yes, you can do up to 50 gram net carbs per day. Kapag walang available fruits, but I know, Doc, nasa Mindanao ka, it's the malapit ka sa fruit basket of the Philippines. According to Dottore, siya nagsabi sa akin na especially yung Blang, no, yung town nila, is the fruit basket of the Philippines. But I think the whole of Mindanao is the fruit basket of the Philippines. Maraming prutas dyan and it's available all year round. All you need is to choose your food, to choose your fruit, to choose the right amount on the right time. Okay? So, okay lang yan. And if walang fruits, the next hierarchy, you go into low-carb sweets, no? So, keto goodies. So, we have a lot of low-carb sweeteners available. But our personal favorite are the ones that has no sugar, no effect like the sugar. No insulin spike, no glycemic spike. So we have allulose, we have monk fruit or yung famous brand niya is Lakanto. Meron din tayong erythritol and stevia. They have their own pros and cons. Maybe gagawa tayo ng different video about that. But to give you a short idea, stevia is the most natural and actually it is said to be 600 times sweeter than sugar if exactly the same amount. That's why kapag naglalagay ka ng stevia, it's in powder form or in drops form tapos pa konti-konti lang because it's too sweet and it can have an aftertaste na parang bitter, no? So dapat konti lang. So what we use usually is actually stevia with erythritol or monk fruit na blend. And if walang low carb sweets, so you can just have a natural sweets or last na lang yung real dessert. And if you eat that real sugar, dapat konti lang. And I hope you can compensate it with fasting after. Okay? So, I think marami nang nagka-question. Sige. Hello, ano ba? Ojelab Lon. Grabe naman yung mga pa. Watching from Batangas. Hello po. Thank you so much, Jade Ann. Hello po. Low na lang. Low po. Low, Jade Ann. Nakaabot rin po. Thank you so much at nakaabot ka. So, sino pa? You're so nice. As usual, ang topic, Doc, informative. But is that your dog in the sofa? Kahiyahay niya, oy. Yes, that's our senyorita here. That's Lizzie. Siya yung mommy nila. Siya yung pinakamaliit, pero siya yung mommy nila. At saka siya yung nagmamay-ari niyan. Kasi daw puti siya. Yung dalawang brown, nasa sahig lang kasi brown daw sila. Kawawa, no? So, saan pa ba? Ay, balikan natin yung mga questions. Doc, good eve po. I have GERD and experiencing pre-menopause at 42. My total cholesterol is at 242. Actually, it went down 5 months from 262. But my triglyceride level is normal lang rin. And then, ano pa ba? Ano yan? Normal, see more. The best diet you can suggest? The best diet, yung sinasabi natin, the best diet is the most natural diet for humans, no? Most natural meaning, yung kwento ko sa inyo, if you watch that video before about the captive diet and the wild diet, actually, yung difference niyan is for the elephants, no? Yung captive diet is the one they are feeding in the zoo, and the wild diet is the ones they are eating in the wild, kapag hindi sila captive. So, actually, what we are eating now is captive diet, okay? Captive diet meaning it's like the modern food na nakalakihan lang natin, but it's not something that our bodies are designed to eat, okay? So, what I recommend, the best diet is always go back to what is natural. Go to our wild human diet. And anong wild human diet na yon? Yes, I am a mostly carnivore eater, so I really promote eating animal products. Especially the more organic ones, the free range na mga hindi factory produced. Kung pwede sa yung mga sinasabi natin, since we are also an animal advocate, kung pwede yung mga animals na raised well in a humane manner. Because it's part of life, no? That they provide food for us. But it's just that this time, hindi na natin sila hinahunt. We don't need to hunt them anymore. But at least we promote that they are being raised, no? They've served a life, they've had a life na humane naman yung kinalakihan nila. Hindi lang sa mga maliliit na pigeonhole cages, no? Na dyan lang sila, na hindi lumalabas, hindi nakakita ng sunlight, pinapakain lang para tumaba. para gawing pagkain. So, the best diet is the wild human diet that is mostly made up of meat, made up of maybe plants, no? And fishes, and poultry, eggs, all those. So, those are the natural diet. And the more natural ones, the less processed ones, the better. Try to avoid processed foods na process once or more than once, no? So, by processing once, meaning prito, lechon, grill, tinola, that's just one processing. But when you marinate it, and then you store it, and then you have it smoked, and then you cooked it, and then you grind it, kailangan mo pang i-process at yung last meron ka ng meatloaf, hindi na siya one-step process. It's already quite processed, especially with the added ingredients. So of course, you can still have that, especially we have certain favorites, no? Like sausage, masarap talaga yan. But you eat them in moderation. I cannot recall kailan na last na sausage ko. I think the last process na maisip ko is yung hot dogs ng 7-Eleven, kasi nag-sale yung mga hot dogs ng 7-Eleven kasi parang nag-close ata yung maraming store sa kanila. So, don't worry, okay lang yan. And hello, Lynn! Marasigan Mira, 7 years din ako, doc, na operahan sa gallbladder. Kaya very safe na mag-LCIF. Also, 1 year doing low carbs with intermittent fasting. So, very safe kasi wala ka ng gallbladder. Pero, for those with gallbladder, don't be afraid. Safe lang din naman. As long as you make sure that you're eating the right fats. Kasi I would like to emphasize this. Meron ding, every day, I get tons of messages from very random people. Yung iba, nagsusumbong. Kasi meron daw ibang doctors na kumukontra talaga in public sa keto and low carb at naapektuhan sila. Kung gugustuhin ko, pwede rin naman ako maapektuhan. But I really don't sweat the small stuff. For me, it's the small stuff. We are both doctors and we hope, I hope we are thinking what's best for our patients to the best of our knowledge. It's just that we have different belief systems, no? Although the basic science says what that other doctor is saying is actually what is the traditional teachings in medical school. But if you go deeper, kasi meron akong nerdy side. So actually, one of the first reasons why I went into this way of life is the curiosity. How come I didn't know this, yung ganong idea? So I really have to do my own research when it comes to this. And I just need to confirm from my basic sciences, which is the biochemistry. Remember yung biochemistry, yun yung pinaka-mahirap na subject for me when I entered med school. Akala ko noon hindi na ako magiging doktor. Yung first year med school, sinasabi ko na kapag ito ang basihan ng pagiging doktor, hindi na ako magiging doktor. Kasi sobrang hirap siya for me having a non-science background. In college, I studied Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. So, wala talaga akong science background. But eventually, I learned to love it. And good thing, biochemistry together with pharmacology is my highest score during physical licensure exam. Yay! So, ganon. So, yung pinaka mahirap na subject for me, naging paborito ko eventually. And this is the reason why I am in this way of life. Aside from improving my health, is actually more on the knowledge and curiosity. So, sinabi ko, merong mga doctor who still believes, that we are obligate sugar consumers. But we are not. Okay? Yes, the babies are here. Nandito na naman sila. So, okay lang po ba low-carb diet for my 6-year-old diabetic daughter? 6-year-old diabetic. So, most likely, it is a type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is those who are diabetics but walang capacity to produce insulin. Yung mga matatanda na dyan, tulad natin, yung mga malalaki na yung edad, if we have diabetes at this age, it is already considered as type 2 diabetes or lifestyle-induced diabetes or secondary diabetes. Ito yung diabetes na based on lifestyle. Sa sobrang consumption, believe it or not, it's the super consumption of too much sugar and to some extent, too much protein din as well. Especially those who are fond of taking protein shakes, Protein shakes in addition to their normal meal. Kumain ng isang unlimited rice, may ulam, may soft drinks, diet soft drinks, meron pang dessert, at panghuli, nag-protein shake. So actually, those can be a very good recipe for you to have diabetes eventually. So if you have a 6-year-old, so I guess this one is a type 1 diabetes, or sabi nila childhood diabetes, or juvenile onset diabetes. They have this tendency na hindi makaproduce ng insulin. So that's why nagkakaroon sila ng manifestation ng diabetes or elevated blood sugar. The reason why is that they don't have insulin to induce sugar entry para maipasok yung sugar sa cells. As compared sa mga matatanda na sobra-sobra yung insulin. But it's just that sa sobrang tagal na elevated yung blood sugar nila at sobrang tagal na elevated yung insulin nila, naging manhid na yung kanilang cells, yung kanilang katawan sa effect ng insulin. So they actually have elevated level of insulin and elevated sugar. And that is one of the worst conditions to be in. And for your daughter, is she already in insulin injection? Because she will need insulin injection. But remember, insulin injection that she needs is only the basal insulin level. Yung insulin na long day lang, yung parang once lang binibigay, and not postprandial. Postprandial meaning every after meal. Kasi yung mga insulin na binibigay right after meal, it is based on the precept. It is based on the context na ine-expect ng doktor mo na kakain ka ng balanced diet. And that balanced diet is containing a lot of carbohydrates. But if you are doing low carb, even to your 6-year-old daughter, you can possibly have. There are a lot. I advise you to look for groups, no? Merong maraming support groups for families with children with type 1 diabetes. They are practicing low carb. They are practicing keto. And they still use insulin, but only the long-acting insulin and the lowest dose. They do not need to inject 3 times a day, 4 times a day. They only need to inject once. And that is just for basal level of insulin, just to ensure proper growth, proper nutrient build-up, and proper regulation of blood sugar. Okay? So, yan. And what else? Yes, Doc, no? Bitter yung kinauusapan natin? Stevia. Yes, bitter yung stevia. Kaya wag kang mag-stevia. Mas masarap stevia erythritol blend, or pinakamasarap sa lahat, allulose talaga. So, magandang gabi. Marasigan Mira. Okay, sino pa ba? Meron, gestational diabetes din ako, last 2017, and nawala yung nag-LCF ako, and 3 years na ako di gumagamit ng eyeglasses. Wow, that's so nice. Me too. Nakita niyo po yung post ko before? Naka-glasses talaga ako. I've had astigmatism, and meron na din yung, sabi nila may grade na yung mata ko. Although small lang. From 25, 50, naging 50, 75 ata. Ganon. But after alternate day fasting for 3 weeks last year, and doing a lot of extended fasting and doing intermittent fasting, pinaka-minimum na yung 16 hours on a regular day, 14 hours kapag maraming occasions. But normally, I go into 18 to 20 hours daily. Okay? So, yes. And with 4 kids, wow, that is so nice. Mas masaya talaga kapag whole family ang magkasama. So, very true. Sugar addiction activates. That's why I try to sleep enough. Yes, ganun talaga. And also, remember, when you use, kasi sinabi natin yung hierarchy, di ba? How to get the sweet fix without the sugar. Di ba nagsabi tayo ng keto goodies or low carb goodies? Nasa huling part na siya. Kasi as much as possible, we are trying to address the issue from the root cause, no? As much as possible, we don't want you to be dependent to sugar or the sweet cravings. Kasi kahit yung sweet cravings mo na yan ay mawawala, ay kahit na ma-fix yung sweet cravings mo at that time without the insulin effect, but behaviorally, it will have an effect kasi i-crave mo siya ulit. Mas grabe yung craving. Okay? So, si Rom J, I'm not yet finished reading 2 books, but I'm planning to start and apply the learnings on December 16. Aba, may pa-date pa si Sir Rom J. Any tips and additional motivation on how to start and how to be consistent po, given that my kasama sa bahay is carb lover. So, you have to be committed. I suggest talaga, the answer is in your hands. It's in the books. The contents of the books are what I just usually tell you, no? Siguro kapag pakinggan mo lahat ng videos ko, baka nasabi ko na lahat ng nasa books. But what it will give you is your own personal journey, and it will give you your own personal empowerment for you to start this way of life. Yung mga nakabasa ng book, nagpapasalamat sa akin. But I know, the moment you read it, you can take it as your own, and then you can start your own journey. Its effect, its purpose is actually providing you with empowerment, providing you with motivation, providing you with the backup science so that you can be confident to stay in this way of life for good. Wala, hindi ka tempted. All of those things are covered. Whether your family is into it, or you're doing it alone, or you're doing it with a group, all of those are covered, especially on the motivational tips and tricks na dinilagay natin on the last parts of the book. Okay? If, for example, you're reading the book at saka may mga parts na parang naboboard ka, just skip it. Who knows? Baka yung effective na part sa'yo is on the later pages pa. And that's okay. So, si Ferdy, sabi niya, Doc, I'm in low carb for 2 weeks. I'm type 2 diabetes and in medications. Pwede ko po bang ituloy ang IFF? Nagtatry ako 7 p.m. to 10 a.m. fasting. Yes, of course, you can do that. Only you can say kung ano yung makakaya mo, okay? So, just make sure na you have your blood glucose monitor. Kasi for those who are diabetics, kailangan talaga frequent monitoring. Most especially if you are already in your insulin injections. If you have insulin injections already, try to talk with your provider, no? Kailangan yung sabihin sa kanila. Kahit sabihin nilang, i-discourage ka nila with low carb. But sasabihin mo lang, what if I reduce my carbohydrate intake at kapag nakita kong bumaba yung blood sugar ko to this level, ilang insulin na lang ang i-inject ko? Because it is actually incremented. Diba? Sinasabi, you can add 2 units kapag tataas ng ganito. And then, so, that same way, you can also reduce. Or else, kapag nag-overdose ka ng insulin, you are risking yourself from emergency hypoglycemia. And from the effects of hypoglycemia, baka himatayin ka at matumba ka, and worse, magka-head injury ka. Nako naman, hindi yan maganda. So, dapat sigurado tayo, okay? Ronald, hi Doc, watching from Singapore. This is, hindi ko makita, for info. God bless. God bless. Thank you so much, Ronald. And sa akin, last year, sa transvaginal result, paano mag-lose weight? Nakita ko lang, LCIF ang nag-start ako last year, June. Trans-V last month. Ay, nawala na. Apple cider vinegar, kailan po mas effective before or after meal? Before meals, apple cider vinegar will make your appetite curb, no? So, yung gana mo sa kain, para medyo mawawala. So, you will not tend to overeat. So, that's the effect of apple cider vinegar before eating. Apple cider vinegar after eating, especially kapag hindi ka pa nagde-dessert, makukonti din yung cravings mo sa dessert because it will give you another satisfaction. And biochemically, it is said that apple cider vinegar will parang taper the effect of insulin spike. Instead of magsuspike ng insulin, parang mahinay-hinay niya. So, it's really good. And it's very neutral. So, okay lang. Even before I went into low carb and fasting, I'm an avid vinegar drinker. Kahit anong vinegar, especially yung mga local na coconut vinegar, sobrang iniinom ko yan. So maybe, no, one of those, maybe that helped me. Kahit nasa very bad lifestyle ako, but my love for salty foods, my love for vinegar, hindi ako mahilig super sa mga junk foods talaga. Like, not all the time. Kasi kuripot ako eh. So, hindi ako parating bumibili ng mga ganyan. But whenever there's available, I eat, but I don't eat them all the time. The ones that I really buy to eat are chicharon. Kasi mahilig talaga kami sa asin, real salt, and fatty foods, and the vinegar. I love those combinations. So, maybe those still also help me kahit nung nasa bad lifestyle pa ako. So, I follow them. His kid has type 1. Oh. So, yeah, very good talaga yung low carb with type 1 diabetes. So that yung need nila for insulin is already low. Okay? So, meron pa ba akong hindi na answer na questions? Wait, meron ata. Hello, Sir Norge. Ay, sandali lang. Good eve. Okay na pala. Okay. So, from 69 kilos, wala nang nakita na myoma. Wow, that's good. Sino to? Marasigan Mira, Richel. So, Richel, I'm so happy for you. Yes, so that is a testimony for you guys. Kung hindi pa kayo maniwala, it's up to you, of course, no? Kasi there are those doctors na sinasabi na kumukontra sa way of life na to kasi they saw one patient na tumaas yung triglycerides, yung tumaas yung cholesterol when starting low carb and IF. But yung sabi ko, that is just one patient. And you can never say na tama yung ginagawa niya. We are already over time, but I want to emphasize this. For those of you na nagko-consult pa din with traditional doctors, don't think ito yung kasing parating misconception eh. Akala natin high carb promoter sila. Actually, no. They actually don't promote eating chocolates, eating desserts, eating soft drinks, eating mga fruit juices. Hindi naman nila yan pinopromote. But they are just saying na hindi mo kailangan i-avoid. Yung parang ganon. But they're not actually promoting it. All doctors know that sugar is bad. But how other non-sugar but carbohydrate-loaded food can do, doon kami nagde-differ. So, they can promote potatoes, yung sabi nila rice, oats, mga ganyan, fibers. For us, low-carbers, hindi na tayo nagpo-promote niyan. But for other doctors, they can promote that. And actually, hindi naman ako sobrang anti dyan because other people can tolerate that. Especially those athletics, those growing children, they can tolerate. But those are, remember, more complex carbohydrates, no? And more complex carbohydrates can be better tolerated for those who are of normal weight and who have a better ability to accommodate more insulin. So, maraming physical activity or growing children or pregnant women and those who are breastfeeding. Mas meron silang allowance for insulin kasi they have to produce milk, they have to make new bones, they have to make new muscles. But if you are not part of those, I suggest if you want to optimize health, you avoid those. And you only eat those kapag wala na talagang ibang option. And for us naman na are low carbers and keto promoters and fasting promoters, don't mistaken us as people who just want you to eat cream cheese all the time, who just want to make you almost drink oil, vegetable oil, and margarine and everything. Of course not. We still have choices of better kinds of fats and good kinds of proteins, okay? So again, I would like to emphasize this. I am a low carber and fasting advocate, and I advocate you eating good food, real food, healthy kinds of fats. I always emphasize that. Not all fats are good. And the ones that we are most afraid are actually not the most villainous. Hindi siya yun yung pinakamasama, especially yung baboy, yung lechon, yung saturated fats. They're not that bad. They're actually just neutral, but they become bad if you pair it up with other bad cholesterol like vegetable oil, seed oils, hydrogenated oil, yung mga processed oils, yung mga shortening, yung mga margarine. Yun yung mga bad oils that you have to avoid. If you have to take oils, kung fresh oil ang kailangan nyo na masarap sa salad, you can use olive oil. Kung kailangan yung lutuin, cooking coconut oil. Kung kailangan yung inumin, you can take MCT or coconut oil na pure extra virgin coconut oil. Yun. And you can use butter, pork fats, lard, chicken skin, and tallow, at kung ano-ano pang animal products. You can do them. But of course, it's not something that you will eat every day, 3 times a day. Kasi nga, what we promote is not just low carb. It's not just carnivore diet. It's not just eating healthy foods, but also incorporating fasting. Hindi pwede kumakain ka 3 times a day all year round. You have to incorporate fasting in your schedule so that you can optimize your health. You can give time for your body to heal. You can give time for your body to process all those foods, okay? And I think we are already over time. Sir Nerwin, overtime na po. So, Louie, present po, Doktora. Medyo na-late lang po ako. So, don't worry. It's okay. You can always replay this video. Miguel Yozo, thank you, Doc, for the educational info. It really helps us on the way to healthy living. God bless you po. Thank you so much po. God bless you din. Connie, thank you so much. God bless. Ferdy Flores, thank you. Marasigan Mira, Doc, ask si Mother Raymunda Velohan, how old are you na? How old I am na? I'm already 32. 32 na po ako. Nag-birthday ako noong October. Minsan nakakalimutan ko yung edad ko. So, when I was 30 years old, I was saying to everyone that I'm already 31. And nung nag-birthday ako ng 31, doon ko lang naalala na 31 pa pala ako. So, hindi ko na-enjoy yung 30-year-old ko na time. So, yes, I remember now. 32 na po ako. So, I guess we are already done. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you wish to know more, follow our page, no? And our group, Life Without Rice, and also low-carb feasting and fasting community. We also, on my personal page, Dr. Josephine Grace Chua Rojo, hindi man ako makasagot sa lahat ng mga tanong nyo, but I wish to be there for you as soon as I can, as long as I can. And again, we have a regular episode in Global TV Network, London, New York, Asia, this channel. Always please follow this page as well. We are live here every 5:30 in the evening sometimes, kaya ngayon late tayo, at every Monday and Friday. I wish to continue. As long as you are there, I will continue to be here. Thank you po, guys. Salamat. Verse Ali. Bye-bye. Maraming salamat po. Till next Friday. See you. If you have questions, prepare them and I will do my best to answer them. Salamat!